Hi, this is Manish Acharya, the director of Loins of Punjab Presents, and welcome to the deleted scenes. I think the first thing I should tell you is that these scenes are in their raw format. And what I mean by that is that they are at a lower resolution, they are they haven't been color corrected, there hasn't been any sound design done to it, and these are things to the layperson that when you do color correct, when you do put the sound design, when you do put sound effects, maybe music, a scene tends to work better. So a funny scene will get funnier, a dramatic scene will get more dramatic. So you're seeing this as I saw them for the first time. So the first scene we're going to see was supposed to be the first scene in the film, where Mr. Bokade, played by Jamil Khan, and Mr. White, played by Kunal Rai Kapoor, go to the auditorium for a recce to decide whether they want to use the auditorium as the place to host Desi Idol.
What is in the back?
Where?
There.
Oh, that's our old green room. We now have 2 refurbished green rooms right over there in back.
We are not using that one?
No, not really.
Well, if we are paying for both, I want to use both.
No problem. If you'd like to do that, you're more than welcome to.
Good.
So the contestants enter here, perform, and then exit the same way, going back over to the...
Why we are not using the other exit?
Well, if they did that, they'd have to go all the way around and back while other people
Wait, but if we are paying for both, I want to use both.
You know, is this really an appropriate use of our time?
Look, we are paying for both, the entrance and the exit, right?
Right.
So we are going to use both.
If you'd like, there's no problem. You can also use that as an entrance, sir.
Except that one will be exit. See? Why are you holding out on us? Good.
This scene was one of the toughest scenes for us to get onto film for many reasons. One of them being the technical challenge. We had to get a model that exactly replicated the auditorium, and if you've seen the Below the Line documentary on this disc, you realize that that had its own set of challenges. We needed to look exactly like the auditorium to make the shot work. Now we did manage that, but because it kept getting delayed, we had to do it in a reshoot, literally 2 or 3 months after we shot the rest of the film. And I think because of that, all of us were slightly off rhythm, and especially with the comedy, we were a little off rhythm. So when I saw the scene in the editing studio, I just felt it wasn't that funny anymore. That's why we started with a scene which I now quite love, where Kunal Roy Kapoor introduces the Loin King and drinks from the pig cup. So I think we have a good first scene in the film as it is. This was supposed to be the first scene, and now you know why it wasn't. The scene we're going to see right now is a scene where Ajay Naidu's character, Turban Notorious BDG, is interacting with his family. The scene was supposed to come right after his open mic audition. In the film, he starts singing a rap song, someone yells a racial epithet at him, he gets into a fight.
They don't know what they don't know. Bhangra is going to be bigger than hip-hop. Word.
We ought to go to Brooklyn. That's where the big producers are. Word. Man, I'm gonna tear Desi Idol up. I'm gonna rip that apart. Word. Black man looking to fight. Yeah. Black man looking to fight. Yeah. Brown man looking to fight. But yeah. Yellow man looking to fight.
I really like this scene, partly because I love Ajay's acting in the scene. I like what Corey, who plays Otto, is doing in this scene. And it's a shame we couldn't use it. And the reason we didn't use this scene, in fact, there were quite a few other scenes like this which were all about character motivation as to why are these characters in Desi Idol, what was their life outside the auditorium. And when we cut it all in, what we realized was that it was taking us almost 20 to 25 minutes before we got to the site of the competition, to the hotel and to the auditorium. And we felt it was too long. It just felt we're meeting one character after another character, and we felt we need to kind of very quickly get to the Friday where people check in. And that's the reason the scene was cut. Otherwise, I really like this scene. What's really kind of interesting is the police car, the train. They were all things that we were. I think it was a rainy night in Queens, and we were out there shooting with a very kind of skeletal crew. It was just kind of fun to do it. It was indie filmmaking at its best or worst, however you'd like to see it. This is a scene I really liked because it was a scene that worked both on paper and when we filmed it. It's a scene where Sanya is auditioning for a role in New York, and some of the troubles Indian American actresses face because of their ethnicity. I think it's a funny scene on paper. It's a scene we've used even when we auditioned Sanya, when we were auditioning all the different women to play Sanya. This is the scene we use because I believe it shows wonderful range. It shows there's a certain kind of comic timing that is necessary. As another aside, one of the characters that is auditioning her is Christopher Dillon, who is the editor of this film.
I will always love you.
Thank you. That was good, Miss Sanya Raymond. Great. We'll let you know.
You know, why don't you just say it like it is? I didn't get it, right? I'm not getting a call back. Because you can't see past the color of my skin, can you? I mean, I can play a bodega employee or a taxi driver's wife, but that's about it, right? Only a white woman is going to do for this role. I mean, come on, look around you, damn it. The world is full of so many colors and we can play many parts.
Miss Raymond, you do know that we're casting for Lady Di.
I really like the scene because I think it brings to the forefront an issue, a real issue that faces ethnic actors, but in a comedic fashion. How much ever someone might say that they're colorblind, unless it's an experimental play or an experimental film, if you're casting for Princess Diana, you'll be looking to cast a white female. So I think these are the kind of issues that ethnic actors face, Sanya faces. And the only reason we didn't have it in the film was if we had kept it in Sanya's intro, it would have put her intro out of balance with the other characters. This next scene is very special to me for many reasons. It's a scene where we learn a little bit more about a character, in this case Mrs. Kapoor, played by Shabana Azmi. It's special to me because in terms of blocking, I think this is probably the scene I'm most proud of as a director in the way I blocked it. If you see the three characters and you see their placement on screen and which character comes in between the other two characters, it serves a psychological purpose as well. So I think it's really nice. The other thing is it's the one scene which gives Mrs. Kapoor the needed kind of chink in her armor, her Achilles heel, so to speak. And lastly, we had a lot of trouble casting for the role of Shabana's husband because we needed someone who was a strong enough presence that you would expect Mrs. Kapoor to be married to. At the same time, it was a small role, so we had to find an actor who was good enough to pull it off and still have that presence. And in the end, we cast a non-actor, a non-professional, Mr. Pradeep Patkar, who was brilliant, a man of great humor, who came in and did the job. And the reason the scene is special for me is Mr. Patkar has, since the release of the film, passed away. So in some ways, every time that I see this film, I remember him and remember him for the incredibly special man that he was. Anyway, here's the scene.
Hey, Kage. Didn't know you were here.
How do I look?
Gorgeous.
Gargi, will you check if Guruji is here?
I really love this scene. It's Shabana's acting in this scene, the nuances, the little trembling of the hand when she pulls a hair behind her ears, all just, you know, I think just really good stuff. But once again, same reason, we just couldn't introduce one character and give that character more scenes because it throws other stuff out of balance. The next scene was written because we wanted to get some information across to the viewer. Mr. White is coming to tell Mr. Bokade that one of the judges can't make it to the auditions, and of course he's rather worried about it. Mr. Bokade is very blasé about it.
We've got a problem.
Yeah, me too.
One of our judges has diarrhea.
Which one?
Mrs. Mehta.
What?
Mrs. Mehta. Diarrhea.
So tell her not to come. What if she takes a big shit in the audition?
She can't come.
Good.
We've just lost one of our judges 18 hours before the first audition. This is a big problem.
Why was this scene not in the film? You know, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think it kind of works once you put in the sound design, do everything else. I think it's funny. It shows their characters. It must have been something to do with rhythm. It probably was just getting to a point where we felt we were belaboring the point. In the movie, it's Saturday morning, the judges have got in, and the first audition is about to begin.
Myself, Sridhar Shambalan. Chumma chumma de de, chumma chumma de de chumma, chumma chumma de de, chumma chumma de de chumma.
Sridhar Shamlan is played by Karthik Kirupakaran, who was the associate producer on the film. I think he did a fantastic job here. I think all of us cracked up even when we were shooting. And in some ways, this scene is another one I really quite enjoyed because it's inspired by a true incident in my life. I was at a party in Washington, D.C., and a very unassuming man stood up. Everyone kept saying, "Oh, you need to dance, you need to dance." And suddenly he burst into this pelvic thrust to Jumma Chumma De De. And I think the scars that I carry from that incident have finally been exercised in this scene. I love this scene. I think it's really funny. The reason we didn't put it in there is it was a timing issue. Saturday and the auditions just seemed to be going on forever and ever. And of course, we had to stay at the auditions of our main characters. Some of these other characters fell by the wayside. But I really love the way Sridhar Shamlan just chumma chumma de de. I think it's funny. Brings a smile to my face.
नमस्ते, आपकी इजाज़त से मैं ये गाना आपको अर्पित करती हूँ।
आप हिंदी बोलती है? अच्छी बात है, वरना सब लोग इंग्लिश में बात करते हैं।
Do you want to start?
I'm just gonna start over again, okay?
Seema Rahmani, the actress who played Sania Rahman, really liked the dance she did at the end of this scene. I felt that the first time we see her dance should be when she dances in the auditorium in front of Vikram, for Vikram, fueled by the love that she feels for him. I felt if we showed the dance here, we would lessen the impact of that scene. And so we cut it before she started dancing. When she saw that, when she saw the first cut of the film, she told me that, she made me promise actually, that I would make sure her dance was in the deleted scenes. So it is. Right after Mrs. Kapoor turns around and tells the other contestants, don't you think a Desi competition should only be for Desis? We had planned a montage of Desi contestants singing in the audition, and here it is.
आ देखे जरा किसमें कितना है दम दम से रखना कदम मेरे साथिया.
Why are you here?
To be the Desi idol.
Then why aren't you excited?
I am excited.
जब छाए मेरा जादू कोई बच न पाए.
मैं घबराऊं डर डर जाऊं छुपे ना छुपा सॉरी छुपे ना छुपा छुपे ना छुपा राधा बुलाए कहाँ कोई कन्हैया ना बालम.
When he came in and did the song, I was just cracking up. He just kind of went all out. And what I realized is that I would have to surprise the judges with this version. So when we shot the reverse angle, when we shot the reaction of the judges, I actually had him come in again. They had no clue what they were getting into. And I told them, as direction, I'm like, listen, you know, he'll do certain stuff, but please try not to laugh because we've got to be serious. And it was amazing to see them just trying to control their laughter all through the scene. And in fact, right after we called cut, all three of them just cracked up. It was a good day. It was a good energy on set. And I have fond memories of shooting this scene. In this next scene, we see Mr. Millard, who is the suspicious older white man, keeping an eye on the so-called brown terrorists. The scene would have come probably a couple of scenes after Vikram invited Sania for dinner. So when we see Mr. Millard casing the joint, we see some of the characters returning from a night out, Vikram and Sania eating dinner, pizza being delivered for the Patels, etc. This scene was an interesting one because I actually liked the scene a lot and thought that it should be in the film. My editor, Christopher Dillon, thought that Millard's reactions weren't strong enough, and so we should not keep the scene in the film, and we decided not to. What I feel we've missed is this Sania and Vikram scene, because the last time we see Sania and Vikram, Vikram invites her for dinner. The next time we see Sania and Vikram, we see them in the passageway where they've already made a connection. So to me, this was a way to show Sania and Vikram's relationship kind of deepening. Obviously, he's joking about something and pretending to kind of stab himself, and so that works in two ways. It shows us the fact that Vikram's making Sania laugh, they're having a good time. It also shows us how that same act can be seen from a different perspective, that of the suspicious Millard, to indicate there's an act of terrorism about to take place. Maybe should have been in the film. It's always sad when a scene that basically works is left out of the film. I mean, you know that the actors did a great job, the writers basically delivered, the different department heads, the costume, the makeup, the camera, the lighting, the sound department, everyone kind of did what they were supposed to do, but then the scene isn't in the film at the end. And maybe at a deeper philosophical level, the deleted scene serves as much of a purpose as a scene that's in the film. And the reason for that is that maybe by the process of shooting it, maybe because we actually did the scene, the actors did the scene, the characters were fleshed out a little bit more. And because these characters were fleshed out a little bit more, in a later scene, those characters are more true to life, which lends itself to the entire experience becoming more believable. So it's sad that they're not in the film. I'm happy that they're in this DVD. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.